The US has announced a 100% import tariff on branded medicines, a move that could reshape global pharma trade. But what does this mean for India's $10 billion pharmaceutical exports to America? Hello viewers, I'm Kavya Khandelwal and you're watching The Edge. US President Donald Trump has just dropped a tariff gauntlet on the global drug industry. A 100% import tariff on branded and patented medicines coming into the US. That means unless pharma giants build factories inside America, they will be paying double to sell their drugs there. And while India is one of the world's biggest pharma exporters, the question now is, should we be worried? Will this move shake up our pharmaceutical sector, or is it just a noise that won't touch India's generics? Let's break down what this tariff really means, how it could hit Indian companies, and why the real danger might still be coming. In a fiery post on Truth Social, Trump said, "I am putting a 100% import tariff on pharmaceutical drugs unless the companies are building plants right here in the United States. Breaking ground, under construction, that's the deal. No exceptions." This isn't just a random trade war move. It's part of Trump's long-term strategy to bring manufacturing jobs back to the US and reduce America's reliance on foreign suppliers, especially for critical sectors like healthcare. Starting 1st October 2025, many branded or patented drug imported into the US cost double unless the company making it is building a facility on American soil. The idea is clear: if you want access to the US market, make your drugs in the US. The announcement immediately sent shock waves through the global pharmaceutical industry. The US is the world's largest medical market, and countries like Ireland, Switzerland, Germany, and India all depend on it heavily. But India's situation is a bit different and more complicated. Now, let's talk about the India angle. Why most Indian exporters are safe for now. Here's the most important thing to know. India's exports more than 1/3 of the drug consumed in the US, but almost all that is generic medicines. Generics are low-cost versions of drugs whose patents have expired. They are not branded or patented medicines, and Trump's 100% tariff doesn't apply on them. That's why, at least on paper, Indian pharma is safe for now. Analysts say this is more of a headline scare than a real threat to Indian exporters today. According to some reports, Dr. Vijay Kumar from Geojit Investments say India, being an exporter of generic drugs, is unlikely to be impacted immediately, but the announcement may have a sentimental impact on pharma stocks. And that's exactly what happened within hours of Trump's announcement. Pharma stocks on Dalal Street went into a nosedive. The Nifty Pharma Index fell nearly 2.7%. with big names like Nacto Pharma, Gland Pharma, Sun Pharma, Cipla, and Dr. Reddy's all turning red. The Nifty Pharma Index fell nearly 2.7% with big names like Natco Pharma, Gland Pharma, Sun Pharma, Cipla, and Dr. Reddy's all turning red. But here's the catch. This was driven more by fear than actual risk. Investors are worried that Trump might extend the tariffs to generic next. And if that happens, then India could be in trouble. But where India stands in the global pharma chain? To understand why this matters, let's look at the numbers. India's total pharma exports to the US in 2024 was $13.1 billion. Share of generics, 78%, about $10.5 billion. US share in India's pharma exports is 35%. India is a big player, but not the biggest. In fact, Ireland tops the list with a 30% share of all US drug imports, followed by Switzerland with 8.8% and Germany with 7.8%. India barely makes it into the top 5. The reason? India mainly makes low-cost generics, while Europe supplies most of the branded and patented drugs, the ones Trump's tariff is targeting. As per reports, Ken Peng from City Wealth summed it up best. This is branded drugs. It doesn't affect the generics that China and India supply. So, if generics are safe, what's the problem? The real worry isn't about today, it's about tomorrow. Trump's move is a part of a larger shift. The US is going from country-specific tariffs like targeting China or India to product-specific tariffs like targeting specific sectors. And if the White House decides to include complex generics, biosimilars or specialty drugs in the next round, India's pharma export could take a serious hit. Analysts warn that if that happens, it would push up US healthcare costs since generics keep prices low, crush profit margins for Indian companies, and possibly force Indian pharma to build more manufacturing plants in the US to avoid tariffs. Companies like Sun Pharma, Cipla, and Dr. Reddy's are already ahead of the curve. Sun Pharma has a subsidiary, Taro, and a plant in New Jersey. Cipla runs plants in New York and Massachusetts through InvaGen Pharma. Dr. Reddy's operates a major facility in New York and is planning more US expansions. This strategy, if you can't avoid tariffs built inside the US, could become new normal for Indian pharma. And the end of the day, Trump's 100% tariff is a warning shot, not a full-blown attack. It doesn't directly affect Indian pharma today because we mostly export generics, not branded drugs. But it does send a clear message. The US wants medicines made in America, and if that policy expands to include generics, it could impact the $10 billion Indian pharma industry. For now, experts say the outlook is neutral, but the industry, investors, and policymakers should stay alert. Because in global trade, policies can change overnight. And what's safe today might not be tomorrow. Do you think Trump's tariffs are fair, or are they a threat to countries like India? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow The Edge.